We all know it's pretty hot out there. 111 today, 110, 111 yesterday, and it's going to stay that way for a couple more days as this monsoon hopefully blows through. But with that being said, how can you protect your kids from the heat and keep them healthy? And with all these holiday activities going on, how can you keep them safe? That's why I have Dr. Dwayne Wooten joining us this morning. He is the pediatric physician and founder of Rainbow Pediatrics, and you've got some very interesting information to share with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was telling you a little bit about what I saw yesterday. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 111 out. I'm driving my kids to swim team practice. And as I'm driving, I see a young mother out there pushing her baby, not a toddler, baby, into the sun at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I thought, oh my God, what is the heat doing to that child?
It's really important to understand a baby does not have the capacity that an adult has as far as the heat is concerned and being able to deal with dehydration. It takes about 20 to 25 minutes for a baby to lose about 10% of their insensible water loss. In other words, what you would lose in probably a half-hour jogging, a baby would lose in a half hour just sitting out in the sun. And so we have to really be cognizant of that fact and keep, especially a newborn baby, hydrated. We tell parents you shouldn't be out no longer than 20 to 30 minutes at a time in the extreme heat. Ever. In Phoenix, Arizona. I've had significant problems, even this week so far, it's only the second day. Yesterday I had a child who was brought in with 104 temperature.
Oh boy.
And the only problem was that the mother had pretty much taken the bus and walked to my office because she was worried that the child had a fever. Well, the child had a fever because of the heat.
Because of the heat.
Extreme heat. And so we cooled the baby down. The baby was fine. So it's really important to understand they don't have the tolerance that we do as adults. They get dehydrated very quickly and require IV fluids very quickly because of that.
Well, and it's not like you can tell unless they cry, or, I mean, at that point, do they just fall asleep?
Very good question. The first thing a baby does when they get overheated is sleep. They'll fall asleep and they'll get flushed. And it's not, it's not the normal little flush a baby gets when they cry, for instance. They get beet red. And so you have to really be cognizant again of that fact that a baby just doesn't have the tolerance that you do.
Well, and going from babies to children, at what age can a child start to tolerate the heat a little bit more? I mean, I think of, okay, football. I mean, some of these kids are in pads doing double sessions, and it's 111 out.
We've changed that too.
I hope so.
Because you've had so many problems with heat exhaustion. Once a child is over 2 to 3 years of age, their tolerance is much better, but they still have to be continuously hydrated, continues to have water available to them. When you're out on the football field, I grew up here, born and raised here. I played football. 4 o'clock in the afternoon after school, we were in pads out there practicing. I personally don't know how we did it, but one of the things I remember even back then, that was a long time ago, is we had water breaks every 5 to 10 minutes in the heat of the day. And that's something that just has to happen.
I've seen too where they just will literally like hose the whole team down. Just go stand in a line and just hose everybody down. I mean, you have to.
Have to.
When we're talking about the heat exhaustion, we've talked about some of the signs and symptoms, but what other signs and symptoms can we look for? And how can we treat it before we're racing to see you or go to the ER for an IV of fluids?
Well, other than the extreme malaise or tiredness, falling asleep, the other significant symptomatology is vomiting. Kids start retching and getting really, really nauseated. And really, to be honest with you, that's what brings most of them in initially. The parent that was bringing the child in yesterday was because the child was vomiting initially. But it was because the child was way too hot. So that extreme headaches. Older children and adults get extreme headaches. They think they're having migraines if they're older, but it's just that their body chemistry is so out of whack. Their sodium and potassium pump is out of whack, and therefore they get significant headaches.
It's interesting you say that because literally my daughter, they had swim team at 5 o'clock, but she got out of the water and she said, oh, my head is killing me. So even though she's in the water, we can talk about water safety. You think, oh, you're in the water, so you're hydrated. And then kids are excited. They forget to get out and take a drink or take a break. We forget the sunscreen. Talk about the water
And that's
safety.
a good point. A lot of people feel because you're swimming, you're inside of water,
Right.
that you're not going to get dehydrated, which is just the opposite. You get sometimes even more dehydrated because your body doesn't sense the heat, the direct heat that's on you as
Our
much
head
as
was
if you were walking around.
pounding.
And of course, so you have to drink fluids continuously while you're swimming. People forget that, especially at our public pools, because the kids are in there having such a good time, but they get out of the pool after an hour, hour and a half, and they're sick, really sick, and the parents don't understand. They don't even think about dehydration.
And drink the water and the electrolytes, not the pop or the juice boxes. I mean, so many times I see the snacks coming in the coolers and it's the juice boxes and there's no water anywhere.
No, you have to have water and replacement therapy like your sports drinks. I'll just say that because it's very important.
Okay, so Thursday is the 4th of July. I mean, there's lots of activities planned. How can we keep the kids safe? And so many times when I'm out and about, I think, oh, I forgot to bring a hat. I mean, there's just so many things that are so obvious, but yet
of course,
you forget.
Sun exposure can kill you. So you wear your hats, you wear your sunblock. And for children in particular, if it's not SPF 25, it's not going to work.
Okay.
So you got to have a high sunblock, not the 15s and the 10s, but 25 for children. That's what we recommend.
Okay.
And the most important thing is what we've been saying is just continuous hydration. It's just water bottle in their hand at all times when they're out in the heat.
And quickly, because I know we're running out of time here, summer bug bites. You know, what to look for and when should we be concerned?
Well, you know, people forget that bugs crave water, especially ants. You know, you made your ant farms back in the day, you put sand in it, and what's the most important component you poured in there?
Water.
These animals, if you will, these insects are crawling up to the surface of the ground to look for water. And if your children are on the ground, they're going to get bit. This is the time of the year that they get lots of bug bites, spider bites, ant bites.
Okay.
So you really have to be cognizant of that because some of them get super infected. You know, we have MRSA, so forth and so on.
Well, and we're running out of time, but do you apply ice? What should we bring with in our bags?
I have ice, but more importantly, have a triple antibiotic ointment like Neosporin.
Neosporin, that'll take care of
Bactroban,
it.
something like that.
Wow. So, you know, I've got so many questions. We're running out of time. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.